Hey, hey, hey. Come on in, come on in. Savannah Guthrie's mother. She's a host, news host. Mom has been abducted from her home in Arizona. Didn't we just have something going on in Arizona? Wasn't there something going on in Arizona the other day? A shooting or something? And I said, isn't that where the Erica Kirk them from? That Watuka, Fort or whatever that place name is. Well, Savannah Guthrie's mother was abducted out of her home in Arizona. So before I get into some a little bit of everything that has come about, we're gonna tap into that. Let's check this out. She was abducted from her home. Oh, I chose Nancy Grace. Oh, okay.
This is very concerning to us. You don't typically get the sheriff out at a scene like this, but it's very concerning what we're learning from the house, and so we'll just continue. The detectives, the homicide team is out right now looking at the scene.
Homicide.
What is it about the scene that concerns you?
I don't want to get into those details. I would just tell you that it's certainly a great concern to us, just what we see there, and we'll continue to look.
So you suspect foul play?
I'm not ruling it out.
Okay. What would you gauge the chances are that it's foul play? Would you be willing to give us any idea on that?
No, I hope it's not. I hope we find her. I hope we find her safe and sound.
Tonight, our friend Savannah Guthrie needs our help, including you. Her 84-year-old mother in Arizona is missing.
Arizona
right now,
again.
it's being treated as a crime scene. Straight out to Dave Mack joining us, investigative reporter, Crime Stories. Dave, what do we know?
It's so easy to become a podcaster with Riverside. First, go to Riverside and open an account. When you're ready to record, just hit rec to capture high-quality audio and video, all from the comfort of, well, anywhere.
We know that Nancy, a relative, called 911 yesterday, just around 12 noon, and reported Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, missing. Now, Nancy, there are several things to consider here. The Sheriff's Department has already said this looks like a crime scene in that house. They went out right away and already got boots on the ground. They even brought in homicide detectives early. Nancy, I do want to clarify that Nancy Guthrie, at 84 years old, lives in Catalina Foothills, which is just north of Tucson, Arizona. She was last seen Saturday night around 9:30. It was on Sunday, as I said, midday, when a relative called 911 saying, we've got a missing woman, and I've got to assume there's more to it based on the amount of assets being used right now to locate
magnesium flakes.
Guys, at this hour, our friend, my former co-worker, Savannah Guthrie, needs our help. Her mother, her 84-year-old mother, has gone missing. Nancy Guthrie, gone. Last seen Sunday night. Mrs. Guthrie, 5'5", 150 pounds, brown hair, beautiful blue eyes, just like Savannah. There is a tip line, 520-351-4900, 520-351-4900. Now, this is in the Catalina Foothills, near Tucson, in Arizona. Please look at this photo. We know what Savannah looks like. This is her mother. Please help us find this 84-year-old mom.
Alive.
Another thing I'm learning, Dave Mack, hold on, Dave. I'm being joined now by not only Dr. Bethany Marshall, our friend joining us out of LA, but Brian Fitzgibbons. He is the Director of Operations for USPA Nationwide Security. He leads a team of investigators that go all over the world specializing in locating missing people, USPAsecurity.com. Brian, thank you for joining us tonight. Brian, I know this. I know that we're being told left behind are her keys, her ID, her purse, her phone, everything. That's what we're learning at this hour. What do we do now? She's limited in mobility. Listen to me. The sheriff, Chris Nano, says she did not just walk out of there, Brian. So what do we do right now? I would immediately bring in canines, both types of canines, scent dogs, tracker dogs, and cadaver dogs. I bring them both in right now.
Absolutely, Nancy. And Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos has made some immediate coordination to have those things happen. You had canine teams brought over from Customs and Border Patrol, helicopter assets in the air, as well as drones with search and rescue technologies searching the immediate area. Because as you said, you know, Nancy Guthrie, being 84 years old with some medical conditions, was not going to walk on her own power a significant distance. So those assets have been utilized, and unfortunately, law enforcement has come up with nothing from that.
Okay, Brian Fitzgibbons, I just made a horrible, horrible mistake. Dr. Bethany Marshall, when Brian was talking about her needing meds, I thought about my mom. Last night, 11:45, I was in my mom's room. She lives with us. She just turned 94. And I saw where she had not had her night meds. And they're in one of those big boxes, you know, where you lay them out. There's so many day by day. And there's morning meds and there's night meds. And if she doesn't have those meds, she'll die. They thin her blood. They're for her heart. They're just, I don't even know what they all are. And without those meds, she'll die. My mom will die. She has to have those meds. And I was thinking about what the sheriff said, that she's not mobile. She can't, just walk out of there. They're treating it like a crime scene, Dr. Bethany. And I know we keep showing smiley pictures of Savannah, Bethany, but Savannah is not just a famous TV star. You know, she's the co-host of the Today Show. I still think of Savannah when she first came to join me at Court TV. And she is the same sweet, kind person now that she was then, before she became a huge star. Just when you see her smiling, unlike a lot of TV people, that's real. That's who Savannah is. And I'm thinking tonight, Dr. Bethany, when you have your mom in a, let's just say a rest home or a retirement community, and that's what the mom wants. They want to be independent. They want to live on their own. But the whole time you're riddled with fear. Yes, you're taking care of your own children, your own family, your own job. But every day you're worried. I wonder if mom's okay. But I know she must be totally riddled with fear.
Nancy, she must be terrified, because you have a 94-year-old mom, and I just lost my 95-year-old dad this past year. When you have a parent that age, it activates the same feelings as if you have a baby. You're always wondering, is the baby okay? Are they being cared for? Even if they're in a nursing home, are their meals being brought regularly? Is somebody abusing them? Parents want autonomy. Mine did. He had his car keys until the day he died. He did not want to go to a nursing facility. I arranged everybody in the church to visit him on a regular basis. He just thought he had millions of friends, which he did, but he didn't realize everybody was kind of having like a caretaker network, if you know what I mean. So Savannah already is struggling with feelings and has been, I'm sure, she and her sibling group and her family, with how do we take care of mom? And when a parent goes into a facility of some sort, what happens is that the caretaker usually needs respite, meaning they're having caregiver burnout. But on the other hand, it goes against all of their internalized belief systems about what it means to care for family members. So it sets in place like this complex bereavement process. Nancy, I'm so worried about this mom. I have to say one more thing. Was she being targeted by somebody who was defrauding her, taking her money, or targeting her because of a lurid fascination with Savannah? Was she targeted because of her daughter's notoriety? There's so much more we need to know about this case.
Dr. Bethany, that just adds more suffering onto Savannah to think that somehow someone targeted her mother because of her. Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter. We are hearing that Miss Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie, vanished shortly after being dropped off at home by friends. She was coming home from a church function on Saturday night. Are those the people to last see her? I wonder if she made a phone call or anything after that.
Well, that's what we know, is that she was dropped off, and it was family that actually was with her when they dropped her off Saturday evening. Now, she does live by herself, Nancy, and it was the next morning. Now, remember, we said she did something with church on Saturday evening. So when she didn't show up at church on Sunday morning, members of the church contacted family, and they went to the house, and that's when they discovered she was missing. So we know when she arrived at home, and we know that she did not go to church the next morning. A couple of other things to point out, Nancy. Law enforcement is saying they are not treating this as anything other than a crime scene at her house. That's important because usually we're talking about these as we're looking for somebody. It's a missing person. They're talking, this is a crime scene. She did not leave the home on her own. And they have added, you mentioned the medication. Her not getting her medication within 24 hours is a fatal thing for her. So this medication, everything about this, it is really timely right now. Time is of the essence, Nancy.
You want to file free? Hit it.
These perfumes have taken over the internet, and if you don't have them yet, you are completely missing out. I'm breaking down exactly why Ocha's
Hey everybody, thank you for the gems.
Another thing, Dave Mack. Hey, let me throw this to Brian Fitzgibbons because it may weigh in on his opinion of what should be happening right now. Brian, Nancy Guthrie, Savannah's mother, is not suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's or any other mental defect at all. She has no cognitive decline. Okay, nothing. It's not like she just wandered out of the house and she's just wandered into a body of water and died. That did not happen. Here's what I wanted to throw at you, Brian. Her front door, we are told, was wide open. Now, Brian, nobody leaves their door wide open. Like, the last thing my mom says is I'm walking out of her room at night, shut the door, because she thinks it's colder in her room if I leave the door open. And she's actually right. There's no way this 84-year-old mom leaves her door wide open. That didn't happen. So, that said, what do we do?
Yeah, you've correctly highlighted something here. This is not a standard case of a missing elder where some medical event has led to temporary confusion or that there was early onset dementia or something like that. We have the Pima County Sheriff clearly identifying that this is a crime scene. We have a door left wide open, right? Which a woman living alone is not going to, of sound mind, is not going to do this. And he's been very crystal clear about the assets that have been brought in very quickly. So all of these things add up to let us know that something happened to Miss Guthrie on the night of the 31st after she was dropped off, and that this is...
And in just a few hours, Brian, we've got a very narrow timeline. She's dropped off at the church function Saturday evening. Sunday morning, time for church, she's gone. We got maybe a 10-hour window right there. How does that help, Brian, or hurt?
That's incredibly helpful because what law enforcement is doing now, in the statement that just happened hours ago, they are beginning an extensive search of license plate readers, all camera surveillance in the area. They're soliciting tips from the public. So they're shifting their focus to a technology focus now to piece together that timeline. Having it narrowed down is going to make it a faster process.
Savannah, of course, has left New York and is in Arizona aiding in the search for her mother. There's no way Savannah Guthrie would sit home while other people are looking for her beloved mother, Nancy Guthrie. Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, did I understand that the FBI has been brought in?
They have been, Nancy. And, authorities are not aware of any threats against Savannah Guthrie. But, Nancy, you mentioned that Savannah Guthrie is a very high-profile news celebrity and co-host of the NBC Today show. Would not be unusual for threat against her. They're not saying that, but the FBI is aware of this case, as is U.S. Customs and Border Protection, also assisting. Nancy, they brought in all the assets, drones, helicopters, and everything right away. But, we have found out they've all been sent home at this point. I don't know what they found out, but certain aspects of this investigation are changing.
Guys, if you know or think you know anything about the disappearance of Savannah's mom, Nancy Guthrie, please dial 520-351-4900. Repeat, 520-351-4900. And of course, please join us in prayer that Nancy Guthrie is brought home alive and...
Has she said anything negative about Trump and his campaign? That's all I want to know. Have she said anything negative about Trump? Hey, y'all. No lips, gum, and teeth. What? Did they kidnap Grandma? Yep. I'm trying to. I thought if she had a beef with somebody, Nancy would know it. I got one more. I'm going to check this one, and then I'm off to what we have planned, baby car.
There is a very disturbing situation out of Arizona involving the mother of NBC News anchor Savannah Guthrie today. Her mother is missing. Her mother, Nancy Guthrie, is missing as of this hour, around 2 p.m. Eastern. She lives in Arizona, out in Tucson, and she's been missing, they believe, since possibly Saturday night. That was the last anyone saw her. Her mother's 84 years old and was dropped off by a friend back at her house on Saturday evening after a church function around 9:45 in the evening. Was supposed to be at church the next morning and didn't show, which is when they started to worry about her. She did not show up. She lives in a reportedly $1 million home, so it's a nice home. It's got a swimming pool out in Arizona, and the police are making clear they believe that home is a crime scene. Here is SOP 33C with the Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos.
We expended a lot of resources for a missing person that we typically always do. Our search and rescue volunteers, our search and rescue teams, other agencies, Star from Border Patrol sent their canines out. They worked tirelessly all day yesterday and all day tonight. I'm sorry, all day yesterday, all last night. To no avail. As I said yesterday, we saw
the front door was left wide open.
Concerning to us.
She does not have dementia.
Now, after we process that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime, and we're asking the community's help.
Must be some blood.
We do, in fact, have a crime scene. This is shocking. Joining me now to discuss it is Matt Murphy. He's a former federal prosecutor. And Matt, this sounds about as serious as it can get. That's the sheriff on camera saying she was 84, she did not have dementia, she had limited mobility, but saying whatever they see inside of that home has led them to determine that it is a, quote,
we just saw that man a few days ago.
Well,
in the shooting.
When it comes to appeals to the public like this, Megan, people tend to come out of the woodwork. I know that she needs, I read that she needs medication every hour or every 24 hours, and if she doesn't get it, that can be fatal for her. So time clearly is of the essence, but they seem pretty sure that a crime took place. We don't know what that information is yet, but these are brutal because it's a race against the clock. And look, this is one of the cases that you see a lot where older people with dementia wander off, but they've been very affirmative that she was mentally sound, and this is really bad.
Yeah, the police officer, well, I mean, the sheriff said, we believe she did not leave of her own volition, that she left behind her keys, her ID, her purse, her phone.
I want to know if she done
everything. I mean, I
know 84-year-old woman leaves the house without a purse.
That is just a fact. They just
don't
leave without their purses, never mind their phone or their keys. And so all of that is left behind, and there's something else in the house, I'm gleaning, that leads them to believe it is a, quote, crime scene, because he said there are other things at the scene that show she did not leave on her own. Maybe he's still referring to her belongings, but maybe there's something more.
You know, this is and this is wild speculation here on my part, Megan, because we just don't know the facts yet. But when I was a junior law clerk, going all the way back to 1992, I was assigned to a project where a 79-year-old woman was brutally attacked in her home. And, you know, there is no real age limit to what sexual predators, and again, there's no evidence to support that other than I'm just sharing my own personal experience. Like, nobody ages out of that as being a potential victim, and it's.
So if you were the prosecutor in this jurisdiction, and
there has to be some blood somewhere.
Where do we begin? You would not be ruling out sex predators. I mean, you would be looking at everyone.
It'd be the first place I would look. It'd be the first place my detectives would look. Now, again, I don't know. We don't know the facts, but right when you start a career as either a police officer or a prosecutor or even the mental health field, you know, this is
it's ongoing.
The shocking reality to the most vulnerable among us, which are the very, very young and the very, very old. The way certain people will prey on them is it undermines your faith in humanity. You know, as we've talked about before, with all the good people that will come out and hopefully help here, and hopefully this poor lady will be recovered safely. But it's Monday now, and she was last seen after being dropped off from a church event, of all things, on Saturday night. And they are, it sounds like they are really desperate. And again, we don't know all the facts.
Because they didn't want to tell us.
Yeah, this does not look good. I worked homicide for 17 years, but I did 4 years of sex crimes too. And this has all the scary
it has
components of cases that don't end well.
Oh God, the sheriff, this is awful. He said, I want to stress to you, and this is really important, Ms. Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie, is of great sound mind. This is not a dementia-related issue. She is as sharp as a tack. The family wants everybody to know this is not somebody who just wandered off. Her physical limits are based on age. And, you know, we get old, so it's more physical, but she clearly is sharp as a tack. So, as you point out, it's not a dementia situation, nor does she even sound capable of roaming far. Doesn't sound like she really could, you know, go for the long walk and just get lost or what have you.
Hopefully, what they find, Megan, is they will. I mean, and again,
A trail of blood.
I would love to know what they found inside the house. But if her ATM card is gone, maybe somebody kidnapped her and they're going to ATM machines. That would almost be the best case scenario here. But usually that's going to be a few hours, not a couple of days. But yeah, we just don't have enough. But look, whenever you make an appeal to the public like this, people really want to help. And the problem is that you have limited resources in any missing investigation like this. And when you make an appeal to the public and you're up against the clock, they're going to get a ton of information from well-meaning people that are going to want to help. That leads nowhere. So you've got to check off all those dead ends. And so this sheriff knows that. Any law enforcement officer who's worked a missing case knows that. So if they've made an appeal to the public like this, they're semi-desperate, and that also is very scary.
I hesitate to even bring this up. The sheriff said the following. My team just sent this to me. That the authorities are not aware of any threats against Savannah, who is in Arizona now. The FBI is aware of the case, and U.S. Customs and Border Protection is also assisting. Now, that's interesting, Matt, because it's so close to the southern border. But now, I mean, that's a different element. And also her neighbor, Nancy Guthrie's neighbor, said they saw her front door open, wide open. I mean, we hadn't really factored in the Mexican border situation. What would you be doing about that?
Look, this is one of those things that I think the term is triggering for me. Okay.
Oh no.
We have, and again, this is blind speculation. We just don't know enough. But that case I was just telling you about, this poor 79-year-old woman. What happened on that? Her name was Mary Ward, and she was a 79-year-old Jehovah's Witness who was brutally raped in her home by a drunk immigrant. Okay, and this guy came up. He was a little bit older. And this is about sex offenders. This is not about politics. Okay, but there are a lot of places in Central America, particularly Guatemala, El Salvador, a lot of rural areas of Mexico, that are populated by incredibly wonderful, warm people who are also fiercely protective of their families. And what happens, and this is something that nobody talks about, Megan, they have a thing called linchamientos, which literally stands for the lynchings, because the good people in those areas don't want sex offenders around them any more than we do, and they're fiercely protective of their families, and they will run some of these guys out of town because they don't have functioning judiciary, and technology hasn't caught up with cooperation in law enforcement to the extent that hopefully it will one day. And that was a guy who came up. He was over 30 years old, Mr. Garcia, and we knew nothing about him. We knew nothing about his background. It's really hard to try to figure out. And
it's beginning to sound staged.
She was suffering from terminal cancer. Well, after she was raped, she engaged and experienced the classic symptoms of what is known as rape
now with everything going on with our president.
So our task was, can we figure out a homicide liability theory here? And we eventually did. We charged him with murder, but the homicide unit passed on it, and it was tried by the sexual assault deputy, and it was an acceleration of death. It's like if your felony conduct accelerates somebody's death, should that be homicide liability? I believe very strongly it was. And look, I have had.
Why is he going up into this?
Really
he done made her dead.
Local authorities in places like Mexico and some other places in Central America.
He done made her unalived already.
Blind speculation. And ate. That's not what happened here. But it is in a lot of these border towns in Southern California. It can be an issue just because we don't know who these people are when they come up, and the sex offenders a lot of times will get run out of their local towns because if they don't, they'll get lynched.
He has made it sound like it was staged. I'm gonna tell you that now. He done went way over there. He just didn't say somebody unalived her with what's going on right now with the president. That's the Savannah host for NBC. Yes. I mean, he just made it political to me. And he say he don't know. He don't know nothing. The immigrant, her being raped, coming across a border, all of that. Yeah, she was taken from her home. So now I'm thinking it's staged because of him. Let's finish. He done gave that whole scenario. Get off of it.
And nobody ever talks about this, but it's a real thing. It's been studied down there, and who could blame them? So these guys, they come north.
Who can blame them?
The vast majority of people come up looking for a
yeah,
better
somebody
life.
took
My
it from a
ancestors
home.
did, but there are certain people that do come up that are running away from this, and as we know, sexual predators don't get better, and sometimes they just go north. Now again, I know I'm going to piss off a bunch of people.
Yeah, we don't have any reason to believe. Yeah,
we don't have any reason to believe
I get it. The audience does.
But you're asking
We're
me
just
based
talking
on my
about
experience, and this is
how you would investigate.
This is the first place my twisted, jaundiced brain goes after working those cases for 21 years. So
I would never have put that out.
He said that they've got homicide detectives involved. So why would they, he said that they have homicide detectives involved. We do, in fact, have a crime scene there. There are other things at the scene that show she did not leave on her own. So that is certainly suggesting she was kidnapped. She was taken in some way. I don't know,
why he done made her,
but that she did not leave of her own volition, and she is missing. So that means another person was involved. And what does it tell us, if anything, that homicide is involved? Like when they make the decision of what unit is going to go investigate the crime, Matt, how do they figure that out?
Well, the homicide detectives tend to be the most experienced and the very best. So hopefully, again, I pray that they just brought in their best detectives because it was such an urgent case, and that's not based on any of the evidence that they found at the scene. They just want the best of the best to have at their disposal.
She has to have medicine.
The case. The fact that the FBI is involved, that's totally appropriate. By the way, Megan, I've had really good experiences on missing cases with working with the FBI. Those agents tend to be
the old agents are
you
messing
super
with
dedicated and really impressive police officers. The fact that we got which agency did you say? Border Patrol that's working it?
Yeah. Yes. Also, U.S. Customs and Border Protection is also assisting.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good. But the federal agencies again, and they are fine. They're fine investigators, and we worked with them as well. I mean, I think I've worked with every federal agency that exists during my time as a prosecutor, especially when you try to repatriate Americans that have run or foreign nationals that have committed crimes in the United States.
Foreign nationals.
I've worked with everything from the Czechoslovakian border police, to the FBI, Mexican homicide units, and by and large, when you're talking about vulnerable old women, people really tend to forget the borders very quickly and work together, hopefully seamlessly, to solve this. I hope that's what's happening here, but this is. This does not look good.
Oh yeah, he made this a whole.
It was written about a long distance relationship.
I mean, it's possible that she, at 84, you can have a stroke pretty easily. You can. I don't like dementia's not something that hits you all of a sudden. But something could have happened. There could have been some sort of a neurological event that led her to wander in a way that was atypical of her.
It could.
Without her keys, without her purse. Yep. Like that would be a good scenario.
It has to be blood
if she is just wandering
or a struggle.
And lost. The other problem is, to your point on the border, Tucson's 75 miles from the border, from the southern border. It's very close. Now, she didn't walk 75 miles, but somebody easily could have driven up 75 miles. But the one thing we have going for us here, Matt, is that I think she had cameras. I read that there were cameras on her, in her home. Now, I don't know whether they were operational, but the neighbors are going to have a Ring camera. In today's day and age, somebody's got a camera on the house, or at least the neighborhood.
They were asking for that publicly. That was one of the things. Now, if she did have cameras on her house, that may be why they're so sure that this was actually a crime. and look, my mom had a stroke, Megan, and
you can't move.
She had a series of strokes that ultimately she passed away because of it a couple years ago. But she started to wander, and and strokes do hit people suddenly. So hopefully it's something like that. But I did see the sheriff say that they were searching for her last night using thermal cameras. They were searching the area, and they met with negative results.
International disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency.
Wow.
There is a never-ending list of reasons that gold has.
I hope she is found soon. I just don't understand why that guy went that route. I wasn't believed to have been taken against her will.
It's so important to moisturize your
I just
lips
wonder
every day.
what
When
is
lips need
her,
moisture, I recommend
if she had
Blistex to my
issues with
patients.
Trump.
Start my day with me as a jeweler at Shane Company.
And I hate
Here
to
are
go
3
like
ways
that,
we make
but
your engagement ring special.
Arizona,
We set all of our stones.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now
and the
from
way that
Fox.
man
I am
just
Andy
went
Mack.
to
The search continues for
what's
the
going on right now.
84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie continues to be missing, and investigators, Pima County Sheriff, saying they're investigating this right now as a crime. And this is the bulletin they put out. A missing person, a vulnerable adult, Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-olds, a 5'5", 180 pounds, as they were asked why investigators believe this Tucson area home is a crime scene. The sheriff said he had limited mobility and said there were other things indicating she did not leave on her own. Let's be joined right now on the ground there at this scene outside the home of Nancy Guthrie, Fox 10's Steve Nielsen. Steve, thank you so much for joining us, and set the scene. How wide of a net are they casting right now?
Well, it's a very large net that they're casting, but I just want to tell you about the neighborhood where we are right now, where this home is. It's in the Catalina foothills, northeast of Tucson. If you've ever been in this area, you know this, but it is very densely brushed all around us. There's Palo Verde trees, cacti all around us. So as you enter off of the street into that brush, you can't see much further than a few feet in front of you with everything that's around you. That's a challenge for these search and rescue teams that are out here. But it's interesting to note that we're told the detectives that are on this case are the homicide investigators, but this is a missing persons case. The Pima County Sheriff's Department helicopter flies just above the palm trees of Nancy Guthrie's Tucson home. The mother of Today's Show anchor Savannah Guthrie didn't show up for church Sunday, so family called authorities. Inside her home, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos said there was evidence of a crime scene. Her phone, wallet, and keys were still inside the home, but she was missing. Monday morning, the search was paused.
And everything we've thrown at this. They're going to step aside. We'll call them out again if we need to do more searching. But right now, we don't see this as a search mission as much as we do a crime scene.
By Monday afternoon, though, the search picked back up with deputies and backpacks entering the brushy area around the Catalina foothills home, with the helicopter circling above.
Shocking. I mean, shocking anywhere. That would be shocking.
Neighbors say overnight, deputies went door to door.
Talked to people, asked to see ring videos, gone through backyards, asked us if we've seen anything.
But I think what needs to happen is for there to be some resolution. And I just hope that it's more favorable than it appears to be.
Guthrie's 84, has no cognitive issues and lives alone. Deputies are reviewing surveillance camera video at the home. She's considered missing.
She's very limited in her mobility, right? We know she didn't just walk out of there. That we know. There are other things at the scene that indicate there was she did not leave on her own.
Savannah Guthrie issued a statement saying, on behalf of our family, I want to thank everyone for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now, our focus remains on the safe return of our dear mom. And we wanted a little clarity on all of this. We reached back out again to the sheriff's department on this and just asked them, was she abducted? And they told us that is something that they are investigating. And Andy, there's a ticking time clock on this for a lot of reasons. One of the key ones, though, is she's in desperate need of medication. The sheriff said if she doesn't receive her medication in 24 hours, it could be fatal.
Yeah, this is so very sad, and any parents who are getting kind of in that older age are concerned about this because you're not exactly sure. They kind of recovered the wallet, a phone, keys, car at the house, so they don't know exactly where it was. I want to get into the location. You mentioned the Catalina foothills. For our national audience, how populated is it? They're looking at this Ring doorbell. Is that even a possibility?
It could be as they're going door to door looking at these things, but most of the homes in this neighborhood, they're set off from the street, and there's a wall of brush and trees and cacti in front of it. So you probably wouldn't see much from your Ring doorbell at the street in many of the homes in this neighborhood. It's sort of like if you think of this neighborhood, a traditional home with your fenced-in backyard, but between each one of those homes is basically a full property of brush in between each one. So although it's a neighborhood, cul-de-sac, streets, all of that, it's very spread out here.
All right, Steve Nielsen, thank you so much. What are you hearing from the neighbors? Has she been in this neighborhood a long time? Anything that stood out there?
Yeah, I talked with one neighbor who's lived here for about 7 years. He said she's lovely. He's seen her plenty of times. Their dogs know each other, and they've greeted each other in that way. And there's just, and I asked him too, if he knew that his daughter or that her daughter is Savannah Guthrie. He said he had no idea. She never, she didn't mention it like that. They just had a lovely relationship outside, so he didn't realize necessarily the high profile nature of this.
Yeah, we'll see what comes of it. Obviously, they're concerned about her well-being. They're searching for Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old, right now in the Tucson area. Steve, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. You're on Live Now.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, thank you so much. And this is usually a quiet neighborhood concerned with the well-being, the status of Nancy Guthrie. And we did hear different people on the ground there speaking with neighbors about what they're hearing about who Nancy is and potentially the search that they're asking for assistance in this regard. Let's listen into this from earlier today.
To be honest, sometimes I actually have no idea what's going on until I open Monday.com. And boom, everything's...
It doesn't bother me. I've had the same thing. I grew up in the Brentwood area of Los Angeles, and we went through the whole O.J. Simpson murder.
Yeah.
So this is something similar.
Yeah. Had you ever seen her before in the neighborhood? How far do you live from here?
No, we had no idea that she actually resided here. We just got a call from Susan Bald, our neighbor, and that was yesterday. And then my husband went through the entire property to see if we could see anything. I just hope that
When you think of an 84-year-old woman potentially being missing for over 24 hours, is that concerning to you at all?
it seems fairly typical, but that mostly happens in South Tucson, not up here in the Foothills Estates. No, I'm not, I don't have any anxiety or anything. I just, it's very mysterious.
You mentioned that you and your husband kind of looked to see if you could see anything. Did you find, did you have any ring camera? Did you have anything? Or have you talked to investigators?
No, he just walked the entire property. And that's all I really, can say. I just went over it very thoroughly.
Okay, hold on.
Anyway, it doesn't appear to be a good situation.
When you hear that the sheriff say that they have evidence that a crime has been committed inside this woman's home, and that's not far from your own home.
No.
Is that scary?
It is scary because we have a sliding glass door to our back patio, and the other night my husband, he puts on like the Christmas lights, in the evening so we can look at them. They're still quite beautiful. Anyway, he forgot to lock the sliding door, and then we heard about this, and I said, you cannot ever let that happen again. So.
Yeah.
Around the time that they're
they have the dog.
Have you or your husband heard anything at all that would have even given you pause then?
No, I've not heard anything. I was just informed by the neighbor, and then I saw it on my phone. But very little details, really, at this point.
Is there a message you would give to her family members who are, of course, probably hurting right now?
Well, it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not. It's still your parents. I'm 73 going on 74, and I lost my mother about 5 years ago. And, even at this age, I still miss both of them.
Can you say and spell your first and last name for us?
Yeah, Lisa.
All right, just listening in, that was a neighbor, and even the police say that the family wants to know that this wasn't just someone that would wander off. So concerned as they're investigating this right now as a crime, and just the proximity to the U.S.-Mexico border. It's on the northern end of Tucson, but still in southern Arizona. They say that the Customs and Border Patrol potentially assisting the FBI aware of this investigation, and they did have air assets as well as assets on the ground searching through this heavily brushed area outside the home of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the obviously mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Let's continue on discussing this here on Live Now from Fox and bring in spokesperson for Genesis, former police chief in Fort Worth, Texas, Jeff Halstead. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And of course, an 84-year-old, sometimes you hear of a silver alert. They're talking about this as a crime, as something that they're investigating in this way. When you hear that, what do you think of?
Good to be with you, Andy, and such a sad array of circumstances.
It sounds like they know something we don't know. Absolutely.
They've done all the right things. At first, you do take this kind of a missing persons approach because you don't have strong evidence of any kind of foul play. But then when that entire search brings up negative results and you go back to the scene and you start processing some of this, and it looks like there could be, elements of a crime. Now it shifts entirely into more of a criminal investigation. The challenge with this area is it's extremely safe. It is remote. There's probably not going to be a lot of your typical license plate readers or the other crime suppression type of technology in this area. That doesn't mean they're not going to have a lot of leads or a lot of things to go on. They've done a great job canvassing the area, have an aerial support and drone footage, as well as the volunteer efforts getting into some of this rough area. And once they figured that more than likely she did not leave on her own and all of her personal effects were still remaining in the residence, that increases the complexity of a successful location, because what we usually use for kind of triangulation of different technology devices, that's not going to be available. And that's going to be very, very frustrating for these volunteers, these search team, and these investigators. So a lot of prayers going out to them as they go forward on a very, very difficult mission.
Yeah, they comb the area, and they might have to expand this search rather quickly, as she's also without that medication that she needs to take daily. I do want to ask you about another facet of this investigation, because they say the homicide unit is investigating, which is rare if there's not a body involved in terms of this. Is this just a resource question with an area like Tucson, or do you read into that at all?
Well, no, I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary, because those are the most skilled investigators. They have the majority of resources available to them, as well as the latest technology, crime scene, if they're going to bring in the crime scene technicians. So that's good. It resonates with a major crime or a major criminal investigation unit. So homicide coming in at this point would be definitely a good selection for them to move forward. The challenge with the medication brings into play the speed of this intelligence getting out to multiple agencies across multiple counties, if not the entire state, or multiple states, including the southern border. That's absolutely critical. So hopefully they have an extremely powerful network of getting this information, these flyers, and other critical intelligence, so that we can find her faster.
And I think everyone is familiar with Savannah Guthrie. Are they watching her just in passing, obviously, as the Today Show host there for NBC? And Steve Nielsen, our Fox 10 team, did ask the sheriff about the possibility of an abduction just based on the high-profile nature of her daughter. Does that change how officials, how police, how law enforcement look at this?
Well, it's challenging here, because you got to remember, some of the neighbors even stated she didn't even say who her daughter was. So she probably didn't live a very high profile existence in that area. That area of Tucson is very private, it's very intimate, and it's very safe and secure. So it's highly unlikely that someone would want to target the mother of a media, personality or
Hold on,
media
yeah.
profession. With that said, though, usually they would take more from the residents than nothing, but there could have been a little bit of a sign of struggle. There could have been some suspicious elements at the exterior of the home before they made entry. But, the sheriff's doing the right job of withholding information, because if there is a person of interest and they can have successful interviews, can't release too much because that's going to jeopardize a lot of your interrogation tactics.
That's what I was going to ask you. He's keeping some of this information close to the vest, alluding to the fact that this is a criminal investigation, but not getting into too many of the specifics. How important is that to not try to tip off someone about the whereabouts or that understanding that this may have happened?
Well, 20 years ago, it wasn't that big of a deal. Today, with social media and the speed of information being relayed, he could make one statement at a press conference, and within 30 seconds, it could be around the world. So you have to be extremely guarded.
Hold on.
And I know it's frustrating for the leadership within Pima County and leadership in law enforcement, because
hit the
they
like button.
want
Y'all
to
know
help
I'm
the
working for
media
y'all.
get more information, more facts, and do a better job covering the story. And at the same time, they're balancing this incredibly heavy responsibility of not releasing too much, which would jeopardize a high-profile investigation. So they're walking an extremely fine razor blade line of information sharing and deliverables at these press conferences. They have done a very good job so far, and I strive that they continue to do that so that we can have a quality investigation should it turn out for the worst. But let's keep hoping and praying that they do locate her.
You mentioned the proximity to the U.S.-Mexico border. If you're familiar with the area, I know you are very specifically, but in terms of what we're seeing there unfolding with it, Border Patrol potentially on the scene, how wide do they go for this search if there aren't any really good leads there in the Catalina foothills? How far do they expand it?
Well, and I remember one of the specific thing they were talking about is her inability to leave on her own power. So more than likely there is going to be a vehicle involved. So these helicopter searches expand into the foothills and the areas south towards the border. You got to remember, 4 or 5 years ago, that area was extremely heavily trafficked by cartel and people coming across the southern Arizona border as they made their way into Tucson and then made up their way to northern Arizona. So they need to take those the helicopter searches to start looking for abandoned vehicles and other vehicles that are out of place. The challenge is once nightfall approaches, they're not going to get the infrared detection from these aerial surveillance units because the vehicles have cooled down and they're not going to get the engine emissions. With that said, it's going to rely on those daytime ground searches, daytime aerial searches, so they can check all these abandoned vehicles. More than likely, if she was in a vehicle and taken away in a vehicle, once they realized either she had medical complications or she was not in good health, they might have just left her somewhere in the desert, and that is going to be imperative for them to locate that vehicle.
Yeah, locate them very quickly. The speed in which that needs to happen, if that is the case, is imperative. I do want to ask you, because the FBI is kind of toned in. They are aware of this investigation. At what point does the FBI or a different agency get involved that is no longer Pima County? How does that transition potentially work, if at all?
That'll be aspects at the early onset of the investigation of when, if they do now have a suspect and or a vehicle and or motive, if information is relayed back to law enforcement, such as potential ransom, potential methodology as to why this person was targeted. And then there is an interstate aspect, meaning they took her from one state to another, and or the high level of profile activity of the suspect, meaning other offenses in other states. Then yes, that would activate an FBI-led investigation with the support of Pima County. Right now, it will reside with Pima County in the homicide unit for a major crimes investigation, and hopefully they're going to get some traction in the next, let's just hope, 4 to 8 hours, because these minutes are going by so fast for these investigators and those resources that are out there looking for Nancy. So let's hope they get some good luck soon.
Yeah, hopefully there are leads that they're kind of sniffing out right now at this point. Jeff?
I'm trying. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to find something right quick, Lord. You know, my first mind. I'm trying to find something for y'all. And I don't want to say it first. I want to find what I'm looking for. And give me one. This is crazy. What time? 10:30. Hold on. I don't want to be on this long. Where did I send it? Oh, here it is. Why can't I find this? It must have been taken down. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. If I can't find it. When did she? Hold on. Mm. I wonder if this is in the Epstein files. I'm looking for some, y'all. Why won't let me copy and paste it? Y'all, hit the like button, please. Uh, so,
Run by Democrats who don't. All right, while we're denouncing, let me ask you about QAnon. It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and that you are the savior of that. Now, can you just once and for all state that that is completely not true and disavow QAnon in its entirety?
so initially when I started hearing it, before I started saying it sounds staged, I asked, Did she have a problem with Trump? Did I not ask that question? Huh? Did I not ask? Did she have a problem with Trump?
That are run by Democrats who don't know what
While
they're
we're
doing.
denouncing, let me ask you about.
That are run by Democrats who don't know what
While we're
they're doing.
denouncing, let me ask you about QAnon. It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and that you are the savior of that. Now, can you just once and
savior
for all
of
state
what?
that is completely not true and that disavow QAnon in its entirety?
I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. I hate to say that. I know nothing about it. I do know they are very much against pedophilia. They fight it very
I
hard.
wonder, is
But
this
I know
in the
nothing about
Epstein
it.
files?
If you'd like me to
run by the deep
study the subject, I'll tell you what I do know about. I know about Antifa, and I know about the radical left, and I know how violent they are and how vicious they are, and I know how they're burning down cities run by Democrats.
Now, y'all know I hate to say this. Well, with everything that's going on right now, and how violent we know he is, and they're wanting in the Epstein files, and they have had beef, or she asked the tough questions. This has a texture and a feel for me. And if you've been a tea sipper long enough, you already know where I'm going with that. And for me to search and find that yeah, and she questioned him. Not only did he not like her right now, what's coming out in the Epstein files are just the whole what it's talking about. See, that's why when that guy went there, he went there too quick. He went there too quick without him being on the case. He went there with the border, so of course they're gonna grab somebody of immigrant descent that has came and did something to her and gonna be done, brought some harm, because on that Megyn Kelly, they talking like she already gone, right? And they've already created the scene, the narrative, just like Charlie Kirk, just it's the narrative is bam, 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 bam. So am I surprised? I was hoping that she was mega and they was on the same team, but to hear her questioning him about child sex trafficking, and she's tough with him too.
State that is completely not true and that disavow QAnon in its entirety?
I know nothing about QAnon.
You lying.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. I hate to say that. I know nothing about it. I do know they are very much against pedophilia. They fight it very hard, but I know nothing about it.
They believe it is a satanic cult run by the deep
state. Subject. I'll tell you what I do know about. I know about Antifa, and I know about the radical left, and I know how violent they are and how vicious they are, and I know how they're burning down cities run by Democrats, not run by
Republican
Republicans.
Senator Ben Sasse said, quote, QAnon is nuts, and real leaders call conspiracy theories conspiracy theories. Why not just say it's crazy and not true?
He may be right. I just don't know about QAnon.
You do know.
I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Let me ask you another thing.
Let's waste the whole show. You start off with white supremacy. I denounce it. You start off with something else. Let's go. Keep asking me these questions.
I do have one more.
Let me just tell you what I do hear about it is they are very strongly against pedophilia, and I agree with that. I mean, I do agree.
No,
with
you
that,
don't.
and I agree
But
with
there's
it
not a
very
satanic
strongly.
pedophile cult being run
idea.
by.
I know
You
nothing
don't know
about
that? Okay.
No, I don't know
You
that.
just this
neither
week.
do you know that.
Okay, just this week you
Why aren't
retweeted.
you asking me about Antifa? Why aren't you asking me
Because you
about the
just-
radical
yeah,
left?
because you're
Why aren't
volunteering.
you asking Joe Biden questions about why doesn't he condemn Antifa? Why does he say it doesn't exist?
Because you're here
Antifa,
for me.
no, geez, so cute.
Y'all think it's a coincidence? Do we think this? Oh, 10%. Do you? I mean, you know, you I hate to say this. Uh, mm-mm. 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 No.
Oh my
No.
god,
Mm-mm.
I'm obsessed with this. I'm trying Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. Have you seen
And
this?
there's evidence.
On a different show, you
always
denounced
do
white
this.
supremacy.
No, you
My
always do
question
this.
to you is,
You've done this to
why
me and
does
everybody.
it seem like
I denounce white supremacy, okay?
You did
I've
2 days
denounced
later.
white supremacy for years, but you always do it. You always start off with a question. You didn't ask Joe Biden whether or not he denounces Antifa. I watched him on the same basic show with Lester Holt, and he was asking questions like Biden was a child.
well, so this
So,
is a
are
little
you
bit of
ready?
a dodge.
So he wants the child
From
question.
the last one, you were asked point blank.
He always
to
got to be
denounce
compared
white
to somebody.
supremacy. In the moment, you didn't. You asked some follow-up questions. Who specifically? A couple of days later, on a different show, you
always
denounced
do
white
this.
supremacy.
No, you
My
always do
question
this.
to you is,
You've done this to
why
me and
doesn't we're not doing that, so let's clear up a few things from the last one. You were asked point blank to denounce white supremacy. In the moment, you didn't. You asked some follow-up
Dale.
questions. Who specifically? A couple of days later, on a different show, you denounced white supremacy.
No, you
My
always do
question
this.
to you is,
You've done this to
why
me and
does
everybody.
it seem like
I denounce white supremacy, okay?
You did
I've
2 days
denounced
later.
white supremacy for years, but you always
Later.
do. You always start off with a question. You didn't ask Joe Biden whether or not he denounces Antifa. I watched him on the same basic show with Lester Holt, and he was asking questions like Biden was a child.
well, so this is a
are
little
you
bit of a
ready?
dodge.
Are you listening? I
Are you
denounce
listening?
white supremacy.
Okay.
What's your next
Do
question?
you feel it feels sometimes you're hesitant to do so, like you wait a
Hesitant. Here we
beat.
go again. Every time, in fact, my people came. I'm sure they'll ask you the what. Go again. Every time, in fact, my people came. I'm sure they'll ask you the. Listening. I denounce white supremacy.
Okay.
What's your next
Do
question?
you feel it feels sometimes you're hesitant to do so, like you wait a
Hesitant. Here we
beat.
go again. Every time, in fact, my people came. I'm sure they'll ask you the white supremacy question. I denounce white supremacy.
Okay.
And frankly, you want to know something?
Always the
denounce
victim.
Antifa, and I denounce these people on the left that are burning down our cities that are run by Democrats who don't
All right,
know what
while we're
they're doing.
I hope so
denouncing, let me
too,
ask you
but
about
there's a
QAnon.
pattern.
It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and that you are the savior of that. Now, can you
Shit.
just once and for all state that that is
He's a
completely
leader.
not true?
So-
and that
Look at him.
disavow
He,
QAnon
you could
in its
tell how he
entirety?
I know nothing.
get uncomfortable with the shoulder and the hands. He's about to explode because she is challenging him. Yeah, where are all the children at? Absolutely. Release all of the Epstein files. So this interview has sparked up after the Epstein files were released. This started going viral. You understand? Once the Epstein files were released, this interview went viral. And then Saturday, her mom was kidnapped from her home. Now, I hope it's not true as well. But Trump and his mindset, his people, and the people that are in the Epstein files who don't want to be further exposed, and that we know that there's 3,000 more documents that needs to be released. Is it 1,000 or million? 3 million. Yeah. So, and we know that there are a cluster of things that has not come out yet that we know should be out if all the files were provided as court order. So I really wish that they didn't move a particular type way. And if this video or this interview went viral after the Epstein files and they are already feel a particular type of way, then there is a 90% chance that the embarrassment of it all, the connecting of a dot of it all, the timing of it all is just not good. This is making me feel kind of like when that judge home in the Carolinas house was blew up when she went against him. He was already embarrassed, and if you look at his shoulders right before he explained, and he started with his hands, and he really haven't been doing that lately, but that used to be one of his telltale signs. Watch him do it. It's just not good. All that border somebody, I'm gonna tell you now, I don't believe that. I believe it's this that went viral, and she point blank, kind of at a distance, but matter of factly asked him about what's going on right now, and this was months ago.
Are the savior of that. Now, can you just once and for all state that that is completely not true, and that disavow QAnon in its entirety?
I know nothing about QAnon.
And we know that's a lie.
Very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. I hate to say that. I know nothing about it. I do know they are very much against pedophilia. They fight it very hard, but I know nothing about it.
They believe it is a satanic cult run by the deep state.
The subject. I'll tell you what I do know about. I know about Antifa, and I know about the radical left, and I know how violent they are and how vicious they are, and I know how they're burning down cities run by Democrats, not run by Republicans.
Republican Senator Ben Sass said, quote, QAnon is nuts, and real leaders call conspiracy theories conspiracy theories. Why not just say it's crazy and not true?
He may be right. I just don't know about QAnon.
You do know.
I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Let me ask you another thing.
Let's waste the whole show. You start off with white supremacy, I denounce it. You start off with something else, let's go. Keep asking me these questions.
I do have one more in this vein.
Let me just tell you, what I do hear about it is they are very strongly against pedophilia. And I agree with that. I mean, I do agree with that, and I agree with it.
But there's not a satanic pedophile cult being run by.
I know nothing about that.
You don't know that? Okay.
No, I don't know that.
You just this
week. Neither do you know that.
Okay, just this week you
why aren't you asking me about
And then she
Antifa?
laughed at it.
Why aren't you asking me about the radical left?
Because you're
Why aren't
volunteering.
you asking Joe Biden questions about why doesn't he condemn Antifa? Why does he say it doesn't exist?
He gaslighting. Absolutely.
So cute. Antifa exists. They're vicious, they're violent, they kill people, and they're burning down our cities. And they happen to be
Burning down our
left.
cities.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube
Okay, y'all, I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but is this, let me see this. And they say he went off on her.
pandemic, the QAnon movement appears to be gaining a lot of followers. Can you talk about what you think about that and what you have to say to people who are following this movement right now?
Well, I don't know much about the movement other than I understand they like me very much, which I appreciate. But I don't
They
know much
like
about
him.
the movement. I have heard that it is
QAnon and the conspiracy.
Hold on. I just want to hear where he went off on her, and then I'm going to move on. Until I hear some more. I just wish I could have did that little quick research and nothing pulled up. Nothing about Trump and her would have pulled up. And I would have been like, okay, let's wait and see what's going on. But to do that quick little search and it pulls up. Where did I just see where he went off on her? Hold on. How long ago was this?
Thank you very much. Unbelievable. Can you believe how many people look behind the fake news? Can you believe how many people are back there? I wish they'd turn their cameras. You want to turn the cameras around, show?
Thank you, beauty.
There's a lot of people here today.
Yeah, right.
They never report that. They won't report it. There are thousands of people behind these people. Why do you give them the good location for? Gotta talk to our people about that. Why are we giving the media the good location? Anyway, thank you very much, and thank you to Florida. We love Florida. And it's great to be back in this magnificent state. I live here too, you know that, right? With thousands of loyal, hardworking, great American patriots. So, 18 days, can you believe it? 18.
Come on now.
Think of that, 18. Like around 4 years ago, I'll never forget, January 20th, I stood up in the great White House. First night,
Oh, Lord, I'm trying to hear.
I stood right next to the Lincoln. And that's despite phony witch hunts, phony impeachments, all of the things. And it ended up that they did even close to what this administration has done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And by the way, we're leading in Florida.
Oh, I'm trying to get to.
He's a disaster, let's face it. But
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to waste my time.
Did you see the easy questions?
Oh.
Now, did you watch that whole deal? He's a disaster, let's face it. But
he has something negative to say. I'm just trying to hear it. To gauge him.
We're leading in the state of Florida. How would it be if we didn't have the Russia witch hunt and all this nonsense that they threw at us for almost 4 years with the spying and all the things? How would it be? They wouldn't even have an election. We'd just say, okay, we'll take it for another 4 years, right? But now we're doing great. And 18 days from now, we're going to win the state of Florida. We're going to win 4 more years. And early voting starts on Monday. We're going to have a red wave, it's called.
No more. That's over.
So get out and vote. No, they're calling it a red. These people, look at all those cameras.
Where's it
These
at?
people, they're calling it a red. Have a red wave that influenced 4 years ago. He's a disaster, let's face it. But did you see last? Joe Biden he's a disaster, let's face it. But did you see last night? Did you see the easy questions? Now, did you watch that whole deal? Did you see him a week ago with Lester Holt on NBC? Like, come on, Joe. Come on, Joe. Can we help you with the answer, Joe?
What?
That's a disgrace. And you saw what I got last night, right? But it's okay. She's like disappeared. Nobody can find her. She's not too popular right now. But we enjoyed it, you know. We enjoyed it. You know, we don't say, give us the questions, give us the answers we want to.
She disappeared.
We don't want to read it off teleprompters. We don't want to do that. And we know what we got, and people really expect it. And by the way, if you can't handle Savannah, you cannot handle Putin and President Xi and Kim Jong-un. That's small potatoes last night. That's small potatoes. But it does seem unfair when you have a guy that's constantly getting questions like you're talking to a child, right? Like you're talking to a child. They say, what?
Let's move on. Yeah. That's where my mind at, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He cannot handle the embarrassment. He can handle that interview. Going viral right now. And so let me see how long is. Dang it, I had so much. Oh, wow. Let me just go to this.
But he was obviously talking about the trans. Boy, oh boy, were we right. We were so right. This podcast, can I just say that it's actually aging like fine wine? Because this was me on like Thursday of last week. Take a listen. This is the synagogue of Satan. I do not go halfway with defending pedophiles. Goodbye. Are you out of your mind? I hate all of you. I think you guys are all a part of the same demonic entity. Your God is Satan. You guys are Baal worshippers. You will continue to kill and sacrifice children until you feel that demon rewards you. And I stand against you.
You're intense.
Yeah, this is how I feel about these people. They are satanic right and left at the top. I'm kind of feeling like I actually didn't go hard enough. Anyway, today we are going max like always. Welcome back to Candace. Start with the obligatory question. Are we still talking about the Epstein files? Are we still talking about those Epstein files? Yes, actually, we are, Trump. We are, man. I can't believe you're tangled up in this, that you would keep this a secret to protect the elites knowing what you know, what you most definitely know that they are up to. Because if we know, how could you not know? You know who was not surprised at all while reading through the Epstein files? Any person that's been watching this show. And of course, the people, especially the people that are in my book club. Shout out to the people that are in the book club, because the book that we are currently reading is so on time right now. Quite literally, we're completing this book on Friday, Sigmund Freud and the Jewish Mystical Tradition. After having read previously The Assault on Truth, those people were not surprised at all, because I took you through it. What Sigmund Freud and his B'nai B'rith Freemason boys actually believe about you, what they believe, how they have accomplished things, this false dialectic, their means to accomplish running Western society, breaking apart Christian empires. Yes, he hated Christians. It's a fact. He wrote about it extensively. He hated Catholics. And yes, they perform rituals. That is not an imagination. It's not a conspiracy. The only conspiracy are those that are colluding to hide those facts. And now we can really stick our noses down at them. And no, I want to be clear. This is not Judaism. This isn't your grandma's Judaism. It's occult mysticism. That's the way that it's able to move through seemingly all the faiths, right? Aleister Crowley. Well, how could you have the Star of David once upon a time? What was it, before 1914? That was the flag of Morocco. That's weird. That's not a Jewish nation. What does it actually symbolize? Occult mysticism. That's why it's on the cover of Aleister Crowley's books. If you're going to perform magic and rituals. And yes, sorry guys, got to wake up. It's a Monday. We got to get you there. They deem children to be a necessary part of their initiation rituals. This I'm going to read for you is actually a direct quotation from Sigmund Freud. Okay? Person that was hailed as a hero. We were in high school and middle school, and he's the father of modern psychology. Yeah, guys, that's kind of the problem. That is kind of the problem, actually. Anyway, to contextualize this, he's writing a letter to his best friend, also the person he was having a gay affair with, who mentored him, Wilhelm Fliess. Now, I should skip to the part and tell you Wilhelm Fliess also molested his own son, Robert Fliess. Robert Fliess spoke about that when he got older. But Sigmund Freud is writing to Wilhelm Fliess after he gets initiated, because they wait until you're 36 to initiate you into the occult mystic Kabbalah. Okay, I'm going to read you what he writes. He's referring to a patient who he previously hadn't understood before his initiation, who came in, and she spoke to him about what she experienced when she was a child. He writes, imagine I obtained a scene, which means a patient was speaking to him about this, about the circumcision of a girl, the cutting of a piece of her labia, sucking up the blood, following which the child was given a piece of the skin to eat. He then fast forwards and he says, I dream, therefore, of a primeval devil religion whose rites are carried on secretly, and I understand the harsh therapy of the witches' judges. And then he speaks about this. Freud is implying here, by the way, this we are so anti-Semitism proof. This book was written by a guy who was the director of the Freud archives. He read Freud's unpublished works and determined that, yeah, Freud knew that the children were being abused in Vienna, and he created a social science, psychology, to help gaslight those children. This is what you got to be aware of. This is all real. It's not imagined. These are not kooky people on the internet that are telling you this. Quite the opposite. And then this guy, Jason Masson, who writes this book, writes that Freud is implying here that the Sabbats were real events, part of a ritualized religion in which sexual perversions were acted out. So he was aware that this was happening. And in case you are not aware, Sigmund Freud, the background story there is wild. Right? He was once an outcast in the very tight-knit, perverted psychology club in Vienna because he told the truth. He went to the morgue. He examined children who had died after they were horrifically murdered, and were acted out. So he was aware that this was happening. And in case you are not aware, Sigmund Freud, the background story there is wild. Right? He was once an outcast in the very tight-knit, perverted psychology club in Vienna because he told the truth. He went to the morgue. He examined children who had died after they were horrifically murdered and sexually assaulted. And then he also saw patients who were children who were still alive, who were telling him these stories about what they lived through. And he had determined after speaking to these children that they were all telling the truth. And so he gets ostracized from the psychology community. He's like, no, this is actually happening, and it's also incestuous. And they go, get out of here. You can't be with us. You can't publish his paper. Oh no, what would the goyim think? He actually did publish his findings, and like I said, the pervert turned on him. Then, remarkably, at the age of 36, he partakes in a ritual during which he's welcomed into the club, and he changes his mind, and he writes to Wilhelm Fliess that he now understands. Okay, so that's what I just read to you. Like he now understands what is happening. And that is why you need to wake up and recognize that this is what is happening in our world. And what he's referring to are ancient pagan festivals and ceremonies that center around the earth's cycles of death and rebirth. And so to make this extra clear to you, we are not in a war between monotheistic faiths. The people that we are fighting are effectively pagan gypsies who have been wearing the cloak of Judaism, I would say, since the fall of the
she's going to tell you
Khazarian Empire. Khazars were a nomadic Turkic tribe who adopted Judaism in the 8th century. Now, Freud, this part is important. We're going to get to what's in Epstein's emails because, man, if I didn't tell you guys the truth, Freud himself was a racist, okay? He was a part, like I said, of the Freemason group B'nai B'rith, which had, if you don't know what B'nai B'rith is, you got to wake up, especially if you're in America, okay? That lodge, it's Jewish supremacists. They had everything to do with the Civil War in America. They excel at creating the false dialectic, the North versus the South, the left versus the right. Ulysses S. Grant notoriously expelled Jews from his military district, Tennessee, Mississippi, Kentucky. You think he was just like what, another white supremacist? Everyone's just a white supremacist. Another, they would have called him a white supremacist, or he was anti-Semitic. Everybody's just anti-Semitic. No, it had everything to do with what they were cooking up at these lodges, B'nai B'rith. That came the ADL after the ritualistic murder of a Catholic girl named Mary Fagan. There was no hiding that anymore. I don't care if Dennis Prager's going to write another letter and say, that's not true. This case is not real. It's happened so many times during the same dates, the same holiday season, all throughout history, that it is getting ridiculous to not acknowledge that this is true and this is real. And the Epstein files create an opportunity for us to discuss this, to hear the way they speak about us behind closed doors, exactly how Sigmund Freud spoke. It's racist, right? I want to make it clear that this is, for them, a religious philosophy, a racist perspective that we are goyim, meaning cattle that are meant to be herded and ruled over. I said this at the end of last year. I said this is how I am being treated because I don't listen to them. Hence their psychotic, obsessive, and frankly, their evil manner in which they have confronted me simply trying to move on in my life after realizing I don't want to work for Zionist psychopaths. I just don't want to do that if that's cool. To them, that's akin to a buck that won't break. How dare you? They feel as maybe you or I would feel if an animal beat us at a game of chess. That's what it feels like when Candace is just like, peace out, and her life is not subsequently ruined and over. And they will keep publishing things and calling me names. Everything she's saying is an anti-Semitic conspiracy until the emails drop, and Jeffrey Epstein, who worked on behalf of the Rothschilds, according to him, wrote that in an email, the Rothschilds, who credit themselves with having created which nation state? Hence their psychotic, obsessive, and frankly, their evil manner in which they have confronted me simply trying to move on in my life after realizing I don't want to work for Zionist psychopaths. I just don't want to do that if that's cool. To them, that's akin to a buck that won't break. How dare you? They feel as maybe you or I would feel if an animal beat us at a game of chess. That's what it feels like when Candace is just like, peace out, and her life is not subsequently ruined and over. And they will keep publishing things and calling me names. Everything she's saying is an anti-Semitic conspiracy until the emails drop, and Jeffrey Epstein, who worked on behalf of the Rothschilds,
let's go.
According to him, wrote that in an email, the Rothschilds, who credit themselves with having created which nation state? Oh, right, Israel, the same nation state that is having a bunch of women say that they were ritualistically abused in a forest by rabbis. That's happening in the Knesset right now, that nation state, saying that they were 3, 4 years old when this happened. He's saying, those are my bosses, the Rothschilds. And here is a brief, but by no means an extensive coverage, video that was put together by, I assume this guy must be Goy, right? Goy? Seem Goy, TikToker, Contrarian put this together. Take a listen.
Israel is mentioned twice as much as Donald Trump in the new documents. Here he is discussing with Roger Schank, a Jewish American academic and hedge fund worker, saying Jews create vast fortunes by manipulating markets and creating financial speculation and exploiting labor. He says, let the Goyim deal in the real world. In a discussion with the Rothschild family, Epstein says if they overthrew the Ukrainian government, there would be great opportunities.
And here is a brief, but by no means an extensive coverage, video that was put together by, I assume this guy must be Goy, right? Goy? Seem Goy, TikToker, Contrarian put this together. Take a listen.
Israel is mentioned twice as much as Donald Trump in the new documents. Here he is discussing with Roger Schank, a Jewish American academic and hedge fund worker, saying Jews create vast fortunes by manipulating markets and creating financial speculation and exploiting labor. He says, let the Goyim deal in the real world. In a discussion with the Rothschild family, Epstein says if they overthrew the Ukrainian government, there would be great opportunities. The Rothschild family paid Epstein $25 million for certain algorithms. While talking to Peggy Seigel, August 7th of 2010, she asks if an event is going to be 100% Jewish. He says no, they'll have goyim in abundance. But don't worry, they're just brilliant wasps from JP Morgan. Joshua Finkelstein, BlackRock's Larry Finkelstein's son, is accused of not having any respect for non-Jews, seeing them as not human. This is from his ex-girlfriend, Svetlana.
Satan is the accuser of Israel. Are we talking about the 1940? Judy, are you talking about the 1948 Rothschild created Israel by stolen land, granted land? Are you talking about biblical? Because the biblical Israel is not 1948 deed of land. So what are you talking about, Judy? Clarify that. Miss Snyder, can you clarify that, please? Because it sounds like you're talking about the Rothschilds 1948 theft of property, of land. They don't have anything to do with God, nor the 10 Commandments, other than thou shalt not steal. And the one about the covenant of the neighbor. So yeah. What are you talking about? You know, you came in here very vocal. So what are you saying? Are you talking about the lab created the the GMO or the non-GMO? Maybe that's better. That's more politically correct. Are you talking about the GMO, Israel? Hello? Respectfully, I'm just trying to get a understanding.
Creating financial speculation and exploiting labor. He says, let the goyim deal in the real world. In a discussion with the Rothschild family, Epstein says if they overthrew the Ukrainian government, there would be great opportunities. The Rothschild family paid Epstein $25 million for certain algorithms. While talking to Peggy Seigel, August 7th of 2010, she asks if an event is going to be 100% Jewish. He says no, they'll have goyim in abundance. But don't worry, they're just brilliant wasps from JP Morgan.
You like that GMO, non-GMO?
BlackRock's Larry Finkelstein's son is accused of not having any respect for non-Jews, seeing them as not human. This is from his ex-girlfriend, Svetlana. He pressures her to have an abortion. In 2017, Epstein has a conversation talking about if you want to hire the best people, you have to hire only Jews. Only hire those who can prove they are.
How funny. It slowed that. It slowed that typing down. It came to a complete halt. Hello. Y'all hit the like button. Double tap the face of the screen if you're listening in on your phone. Or hit the 3 dots at the top corner right. I'll wait. And since Judy, I'm gone. And if you gotta hit the like button. We waiting to hear your response, Miss Judy, to the GMO, non-GMO. That's okay. I answered for you. Bye. Y'all say bye to Judy. Yeah, she was trying to start something. You gotta be careful too. Hey, Samantha. You know them. What did Trump call them? Them agitators. Them agitators. Then when you ask them a real question, they get silent. I have the right to remain silent. Anything I say can and will be challenged if it's a lie, if it's manipulation. Yeah, we don't like being manipulated. Come on, y'all.
are genetically Jewish. Maria Farmer, one of the first victims to come out and name Epstein.
I wasn't allowed to go get food. And when I called Ghislaine and asked why I couldn't eat there, she said, it's a Jewish country club. You're not Jewish. They're not going to serve you. They, honest to God, think their DNA is better than everybody else's.
Said that their operation was motivated by Jewish supremacy.
Anybody gonna say that that's not real anymore? Hey, really bad time, Rob McCoy, who wrote a public letter accusing me of being anti-Semite. Can you some of that energy towards Israel, your masters? Because I don't have them be mine. I can't. I recognize it for what it is. It's using money, finances to whip people into shape, so to speak. I know, like I said, the true history of the slave trade, and the amazing ability to write themselves out every time is really special. It's super unique. And like I said,
listen, I thought that was pretty good. The GMO and non-GMO Israel. I thought that was really good.
I mean, probably books, obviously, that you would never ever be able to read in high school.
That was
you have to start to conduct research independently. Ben Shapiro's family ancestors, B'nai B'rith, okay, Barry Weiss, B'nai B'rith. That's why when you see these differences and amongst Jewish people,
our eyes are
they
open,
want you to make the mistake of thinking that this is what all Jews are doing, and it's not true. Okay, there's such a fundamental difference between a Dave Smith and a Ben Shapiro. I have a suspicion that I could quit working. Like if I just texted Dave Smith and I said, I don't want to be friends or ever work together in any capacity ever again, I gotta feel like he would just let me move on in my life. I got this suspicion that he wouldn't. But you could see that there's like something else brewing when it comes to people like Barry Weiss and Ben Shapiro. They can't let these things go because they view themselves as supposed to be over us, right? And they also won't criticize people like Jeffrey Epstein. Now, in case you did not pay attention to what was termed Pizzagate back in 2016, the short of it is that the DNC email server got hacked, and off of those emails, they were published publicly by Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, and there was a strange amount of references to pizza parties, grown adult men, government employees, men, referring to pizza in ways and within a context that made it seem as though they obviously were not referring to literal pizza, having had parties on ranches and referring to pizza. I'm going to give you an example here. This email went to John Podesta. It was sent to him from someone named Catherine Tate. These are very old, obviously, or else we would have hidden her email. She writes, "Hi, John. The realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. Is it yours? They can send it if you want. I know you're busy, so feel free not to respond if it's not yours or you don't want it." Also, weird specific orders of pizza and hot dogs. That was the beginning of that entire scandal that they tried to downplay and pretend that it was crazy. Well, I should let you know the FBI has already formally acknowledged that pizza is used as a code word amongst pedophiles. So that's not an illusion, that's real. No conspiracy needed. Epstein emails, people are diving back in there. What are we to make of these 900 plus emails referring to pizza in real ways? You guys can look through these yourself, okay? Of course, there are the Jeffrey Epstein emails, some emails which we're never going to see, and photos that we're never going to see regarding murder, killing people, calls to kill people. I'm sure they're going to explain this away. Everybody's joking all the time. Todd Blanche has already come out and said that they're sparing us the video, downplay and pretend that it was crazy. Well, I should let you know the FBI has already formally acknowledged that pizza is used as a code word amongst pedophiles. So that's not an illusion, that's real. No conspiracy needed. Epstein emails, people are diving back in there. What are we to make of these 900 plus emails referring to pizza in real ways? You guys can look through these yourself, okay? Of course, there are the Jeffrey Epstein emails, some emails which we're never going to see, and photos that we're never going to see regarding murder, killing people, calls to kill people. I'm sure they're going to explain this away. Everybody's joking all the time. Todd Blanche has already come out and said that they're sparing us the videos. So we should just assume that there are graphic videos that pertain to death based on his statement. And I'm going to pivot here to just one example of a very strange email which was covered by James Lee. Take a listen.
Why is this name redacted? You would think the DOJ would want to investigate someone who sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein saying, quote, I give you permission to kill him. Well, thankfully for all of us, the DOJ sucks at their job, and there's actually another version of that email that is less redacted, or more accurately, poorly redacted. Check this out. I give you permission to kill him. He is apparently with Olga. He lied to you. He lied to me. And you can kind of make out the name here to be one Susan Hamblin. Here's an enhanced image. You could read right there, Susan Hamblin. So who is Susan Hamblin? Well, she is evidently a financial advisor and founder of the adoption agency Kids to Families. Looks like the agency no longer exists, but I was able to find this archive in the Wayback Machine. At this point, we still don't know who Olga is, but according to reporting, it says that the only time the name has come up in the Epstein case is when his former lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, recounted getting a massage from a woman of the same name at Epstein's place. Now, interestingly, a few years ago, Susan Hamblin sued News Group Newspapers, the publisher of The Sun, who had printed that Susan Hamblin had groomed and procured a 16-year-old woman to be sexually abused by Epstein and told her that Epstein would kill her and her family if she told anyone what Epstein had done. They've since removed those articles and agreed to pay her a substantial compensation. But one Sue Hamblin can be seen in this photo with Jeffrey Epstein describing her to be his alleged assistant, as well as this photo of her leaving Jeffrey Epstein's New York City apartment describing her as a long-term confidant. A lot of stuff going on here, but the lesson is that this is all information that the DOJ wants to hide from us, but thank goodness the internet is still undefeated.
Also, I love that he's wearing a CIA t-shirt. James, great work, as so many independent journalists. Thankfully for independent journalists, or this would have all been buried. I mean, if you just look to what the public was trying to say, they've even been trying to rehabilitate some of these people. Alan Dershowitz, it's unbelievable that this man has gone through so many people like Mark Levin and, of course, Barry Weiss, always the staunch defenders of Israel. Nothing to see here, nothing to look at. People, this was going viral this weekend, people rightfully going back and examining Ben Shapiro, once again, working diligently, as he did with Pizzagate, to tell people to dismiss the Epstein emails because he had sources and everything we needed to know was already out. Take a listen.
She went out there and claimed there were tens of thousands of hours of tape. There are, by the way, but they are child pornography. The reason the FBI is not releasing them is because those tapes do not include underage people with third parties on Epstein Island. That is not what the tapes are. I also have sources in the federal government who are covering this stuff and have seen the documents. Okay, those tapes are just child porn. That's all.
Oh,
that's what they are. That's why the FBI is not releasing them. Okay, as far as the Epstein list, what I have been told by my sources is that there is no Epstein list. That basically there's a black book of Jeffrey Epstein contacts. And the vast majority of those contacts are already out there publicly. That's why you know names like Prince Andrew or Alan Dershowitz or some of the names that have been mentioned here. Those contacts, there is no evidence, according to the DOJ and the FBI, and again, that's public, there's no evidence that any of those third parties were having girls trafficked to them. And that is not evidence that was made clear, certainly, to the DOJ or the FBI. Here is Tucker then asserting that it was actually Mossad. Again, without evidence, not a shock. Of course, this is where Tucker was going. This has become the hot speculation on the internet, is without evidence. You say that Mossad was running Jeffrey Epstein. When I say without evidence, I mean without evidence. Naftali Bennett, the former Israeli prime minister, said, quote, as a former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. This
I can't stand his voice.
Being peddled by prominent online personalities such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't. And in fact, I followed up with the former prime minister, Naftali Bennett, and what he told me is that Mossad has not been active in the United States or against the United States since the Jonathan Pollard scandal of 1987, when a U.S. Army contractor who was actually working for the Navy revealed classified information to the Israeli government. He was prosecuted by the United States government and ended up in prison.
I need to watch this whole clip. This is hilarious.
And so Israel since then has not spied on the United States with Mossad.
His talk is so fast. It's a car salesman.
Oh, there you have it.
Such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't. And in fact, I followed up with the former prime minister, Naftali Bennett, and what he told me is that Mossad has not been active in the United States or against the United States since the Jonathan Pollard scandal of 1987, when a U.S. Army contractor who's actually working for the Navy revealed classified information to the Israeli government, who's prosecuted by the United States government and ended up in prison.
I didn't watch
for
this whole
almost
clip.
30
This is
years.
hilarious.
And so Israel since then has not spied on the United States with Mossad.
Okay, guys. Well, there you have it. It's just, I don't know how he does it with a straight face. I'm just like, well, anyway, guys, there's millions of emails, but don't even it's like, Mossad hasn't been doing nothing. I know it seems weird because BB's like always here or whatever, and we seem to be doing their bidding everywhere. But the Mossad just like said in the United States, they were like, I'm a chill. And they haven't done a single thing here at all. I know it might look that way. Miriam Adel said she doesn't even know their name. She doesn't know who they are, actually. She's doing her thing and she's giving Trump $200 million, but it ain't got nothing to do with the Mossad. So I just wanted to bring you that stunning report from Ben Shapiro. Thank you for clarifying, Benjamin. Nicki Minaj also went off in a series of tweets after it was revealed that Jay-Z was mentioned in one of the emails. Now, I'm going to wait for a little more information regarding this email because I don't want to be first to publish, because they are now saying that some of these emails came in later when people were allowed to then just flood the FBI with reports. That might not be right either. So just give me some more time to look into it. But the point is Jay-Z was mentioned here, and it was in the context of being with Harvey Weinstein, watching somebody be assaulted. I'll definitely have more for you guys. And basically a bunch of people rightfully unfollowed Jay-Z. I have not been a Jay-Z fan for a very long time. It is very obvious. He sold us out to the feds. He's clearly working for the feds. I have always believed that the individual that came forward and was honest about what was happening with Diddy and Cass and talking about how the feds do deal with rappers, they give them tons of money and then they move drugs in, that just felt like the correct thing. Like my assumption when it came to Jay-Z was obviously what he was involved in. And so, Nicki Minaj had a lot to say because she feels vindicated in many ways about speaking about how the hip-hop industry works, that you have to get involved with a lot of this stuff, and if you don't, they will essentially blackball you. And you know what? Ye has spoken about how you get blackballed in the industry. He was obviously too sleepy and never got to those tweets that he was going to author because he was very tired and he needed a nap, but he was about to let loose on a bunch of people who were doing the blackballing, and I do very much believe that Jay-Z is a part of that. That, like I said, feels to me like common sense, and I think more will come out and people are unfollowing him. Anyways, here's
I'm so sorry. I had a treat for y'all. And because old girl mama, that took up some time. I am at this time because I don't want this to be 5 hours. But I do have a treat for you. So right now I am setting up another live at 12:15. I gotta show you
what Nicki Minaj had to say. She wrote, "Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up." And yeah, she's not the first person in Hollywood to say that. I mean, every time we show you things, even when we showed you the CERN activity that was happening, which somebody caught on tape, they just came out and were like, "Oh, we were just faking. That was just like fun. That's what scientists do. They dress up in the middle of the night and pretend to stab women before a statue of Shiva." That's kind of what they told us about CERN. I just don't know how much could be in our face anymore before we wake up and realize these people are ruling over us and they win when we're fighting with each other. That's just the reality. I really don't see how you can have a ton of success in Hollywood and not be in the club, because Hollywood was founded upon this. Hollywood Babylon, we spoke to you about this. In our book club, they quite literally imported people from Vienna, where Sigmund Freud was, where his boys were. They imported them, and they made them directors, they made them actors, they made them actresses, and they were tasked with destroying Christianity, just as they were doing upon the European continent. I don't have time to tell you guys about World War II. Just assume that everything that they told you is incorrect and upside down. They're lying about what happened yesterday. They sure as hell are not telling us the truth about what happened during World War II. And I just don't really care what you call me. It's time for everyone to wake up. And we're not getting all these files, obviously. They are protecting a ton of people. the fact that you...
I need for y'all to hit the like button. Double tap the face of your screen. Hit the 3 dots at the top right. I got a treat for you. I got a treat. Double tap, double tap. It's just like if you're on the face on your phone listening in. If not, hit the 3 dots at the top corner right. It was 350 people in here. I should have had 350 likes. Help me reach my goal. Come on, y'all. Let's do this. Let's hurry up. Let's go. Let's hurry up. Let's go. It's a lot going on. I must admit. Now before come on, y'all. It's 306 people in here. I need for y'all to hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, or hit the 3 dots at the top corner right. The quicker we hit that number, the quicker we can resume. Copy. It's ugly out there. Dang it, I thought I had come on, y'all. I need 30 likes. I need, out of the 237 people, I need 30 likes. Because I'm sorry to tell you, at 11:59, I'm going to end this. So come on. And it's good. Yeah, Jay-Z, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for you, baby. But I knew this day was coming. I knew it was coming with Diddy. And you tried to leave him hanging. I don't know why you did that. I don't know why you did that. Oh no, this ain't the one I want. Where's the other one I wanted? Oh my goodness. Oh no, where's my other one? Y'all come on, hit the like button. There you go. Ooh, this right here. I knew I was going. Y'all don't. So yeah, Candace, I agree. I didn't know what her take was going to be on Jay-Z. Jay-Z in trouble. Hey, welcome. Thank you. Reflections with Kimberly. Oh man, I don't know how to I don't know how to Okay, so y'all listen. Thank you, Reflections with Kimberly. She said, Auntie Fee, come on. Auntie Fee, come on. I'm going to just title it. Oh, man. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Oh, man. Okay. Y'all, come on. Let me get back over here. Because I don't want to hold this up. I'm going to have to pay pretty close attention to what's going on. Y'all, it's finna get ugly. It's finna get dangerous out here in the USA.
I don't have time to tell you guys about World War II. Just assume that everything that they told you is incorrect and upside down. They're lying about what happened yesterday. They sure as hell are not telling us the truth about what happened during World War II. And
it's gonna be
I
good.
just don't really care what you call me. It's time for everyone to wake up. And we're not getting all of these files. Obviously, they are protecting a ton of people. The fact that you can't find
Thank
the
you for the membership.
in here is completely ridiculous. The people that are still in power, they're active agents in America today, are all being protected, which is why it was super interesting to see them sort of throw Peter Thiel under the bus. That was interesting. Like I said, you can trace this stuff through politics, through Hollywood, the Jewish occultist mystics that established these industries. But Peter Thiel, his emails went up there, and it ain't good for J.D. Vance. I'll tell you that right away. I think this is plausibly the biggest scandal to come out of I guess I should say, the most consequential thing to come out of these emails that I can see right now. There's millions to go through. So we'll have more, and we'll be reporting on more. But J.D. Vance, he was they had him there, right? Like, he's going to be running in 2028. He's not been leaning super into the Zionist stuff. He seems to be abstaining, has been quiet during the whole Epstein thing. It definitely didn't seem like he agreed with it. But everyone knows that Peter Thiel effectively funded J.D. Vance's career. He probably had something to do with J.D. Vance getting the deal with Netflix to do his book, A Hillbilly Elegy, I think it was called. And Peter Thiel, who was mentioned early on as being someone who was friends with Epstein, went on to Rogan at the end of last year and sort of intimated that he really didn't know Epstein that well, but spoke to him mainly just about math because he knew about taxes and how to avoid them. Take a listen.
I met Epstein a few times as well, and I think...
How'd you get introduced?
It was Reid Hoffman in Silicon Valley introduced us in 2014, but it was basically, and I didn't ask enough questions about it.
When you were introduced to him, how was he described to you?
He was described as one of the smartest tax people in the world.
Interesting.
And I probably was my moral weakness that I.
Well, how could you have known back then? He had never been arrested.
No, this was 2014. It was post arrest.
Oh, so his arrest was the first arrest, right?
Yeah,
which was like 2000.
07, 08.
Okay. And so.
But you assume he didn't go to jail for that long.
Right.
It was probably not as serious as alleged. There was certainly the illusion that there were all these other people that I trusted. Reid, who introduced us, was, he started LinkedIn. He was, maybe too focused on business networking, but I thought he always had good judgment in people.
When the went down and Epstein gets arrested for the second time, were you like, oh, well, there you go?
I've thought about it. I thought a lot about it as a result.
What?
Yeah.
He can't talk?
Sure.
Not everyone can wear the name Spartan.
He can't talk?
It's reserved
what are we
for those
doing?
that hold their crown.
And thought about it.
Interesting.
And I probably was my moral weakness that I.
Well, how could you have known back then? He had never been arrested.
No, this was 2014. It was post arrest.
Oh, so his arrest was the first arrest, right?
Yeah,
which was like 2000.
07, 08.
Up to you.
He was described as one of the smartest tax people in the world.
Interesting.
And I probably was my moral weakness that I.
Well, how could you have known back then? He had never been arrested.
No, this was 2014. It was post arrest.
Oh, so his arrest was the first arrest, right?
Yeah,
which was like 2000.
07, 08.
Okay. And so.
But you assume he didn't go to jail for that long.
Right.
It was probably not as serious as alleged. There was certainly the illusion that there were all these other people that I trusted. Reid, who introduced us, was, he started LinkedIn. He was, maybe too focused on business networking, but I thought he always had good judgment in people.
When the went down and Epstein gets arrested for the second time, were you like, oh, well, there you go?
I've thought about it. I thought a lot about it as a result. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And thought about it, he did, because he was emailing Jeffrey Epstein a lot, meeting up with him a lot. Definitely sounds like they were very close, inviting him to the island. Basically, this guy's going to be here from Europe. Also, you should come this weekend. They were together all throughout New York, constantly messaging each other. It is not a good look. There is no question these two were friends. And I do not accept that the person who's effectively spying on all of us, he's got to deal with the military through Palantir, by the way, should be clear. He also, Palantir boys were put onto Fort Huachuca Air Base in July. We'll get into that later. And now we're supposed to believe that he just like, I couldn't look in any further. I had no context to figure out what Epstein was accused of. And I decided to still be friends with him, despite all the allegations, despite him admitting to what he did, right? He caught a plea deal via Acosta, who was told to leave Epstein alone. If Acosta is to be believed, that's the reason why he had to basically give him a slap on the wrist. And we're supposed to believe Peter Thiel, with all of his resources, just went, trust me, bro, I'm not buying it. And this is now a major problem for J.D. Vance. It is. Just, there's no other way to say it. J.D. Vance is going to have to answer for this. This is not going to be something he can wiggle around. And I don't think he is going to make a statement on Peter Thiel. I think that's going to be interesting. That is going to be very interesting, the implications of that. But also interesting that they threw Peter Thiel under the bus. Because they're protecting the other homies. Like I said, I expect the Kushners to be in here. Obviously, his connections to the Mossad. I mean, there's a little bit. He's setting up meetings, Bibi Netanyahu, Ehud Barak's all over it. He's writing emails and making kind of some jokes, which suggest, like, about Robert Maxwell and things of that nature. But they've cleaned this up majorly. I also expected to see some other names, which would bring us a little closer to solving the Charlie Kirk murder, in my opinion. So we're getting something. We are not getting anywhere near everything. And that's why Thomas Massey is demanding for there to be more of a release.
Please hit the like button.
These should be unredacted. You're talking about murdering people. We should be allowed to see that. We should be able to see exactly who is sending all of these emails when you're speaking about children and the things that you are doing to children in ritualistic acts. Anyways.
Likes, please. Likes, please. 3 dots. Hit the 3 dots. Hit the 3 dots. It's 320. Was 278. Hit the 3 dots at the top. Come on, hit the 3 dots.
The next thing I want to say, interestingly enough, is that last week on Thursday, the timing of this is incredible, but Andrew Colvett and alleged Mikey McCoy and his wife went down to meet with the White House, and they wanted the public to think that they were in Arizona. They ran this interview with Kash Patel on Charlie Kirk's show, which is supposed to be live every day. You can fake a live, you can make it a pre-record, but it's interesting that they were actually meeting with top brass at the White House. I'm looking for details about what that meeting was about, because I just need to know. There's a lot about pageantry in these emails. It seems like Jeffrey Epstein was practically picking these girls to win pageants. There's obviously a lot about his real estate empire, and they have conveniently redacted the names of some of these beauty queens, which I find to be a little bit suspicious. With what I know about Jeffrey Epstein and the way that he was moving with Jean-Luc Brunel and going to these industries like Victoria's Secret, like Miss Universe, and I think that that's how Trump is caught up into it and is also being rinsed out of these files. They were trafficking through
he was
these
in there.
organizations.
I don't know why you still
we
have
know this
hope
for a
in
fact. Modeling organizations like M Model Management with Jean-Luc Brunel. And so I'm going to need that all redacted. I want to know who are all these pageant queens that he was speaking to. He was asking to see portfolios of women virtually at all of the schools in New York. He was basically running New York City. I want to know everything. Which brings me to Erica Kirk, of course, because she made it clear that she first and foremost wants J.D. Vance in the White House. That was kind of a bizarre push at AmFest right away. Mm-hmm. And we have been working to verify her Fort Huachuca alibi. We're having some major problems.
Arizona.
More about that when we get back from a quick sponsor break.
Arizona.
All right, you guys, thanks to you. Last year, Preborn helped rescue over 80,000 babies, and today you can help save even have nothing to.
Learn more about Celebrity Cruises' latest offers.
Arizona not adding
to
up.
do with a war on terror. In fact, we kind of are the terrorists. We're being honest, and with the CIA, actively, it has been long suspected by skincare.com. Do you guys ever wonder why Hillary Clinton in those WikiLeaks emails was asking a few days before we invaded Iraq? She was trying to locate Gilgamesh's tomb. I don't know if you guys read the Epic of Gilgamesh. I certainly did when I was at university. Effectively, it has been long suspected that Gilgamesh was actually Nimrod in the Bible, okay? So think of the Tower of Babel. We can build society. We're greater than God. Why would Hillary Clinton be looking for that tomb in Iraq? That's what Gilgamesh is featured in Iraq, present-day Iraq. Yeah, okay, so you gotta wake up, guys. It's all real. They made you think that this was hocus pocus. It's not. They are practicing ancient witchcraft. Who knows what they were going to attempt to do with that. But a lot of our activities in the Middle East have nothing to do with a war on terror. In fact, we kind of are the terrorists. We're being honest, and what the CIA's been up to, we kind of are the terrorists. That's how you kill 1 million Iraqis, by just lying and saying they're weapons of mass destruction. No, they just mass murdered people, but they are also destroying ancient sites. The reason for that is because you cannot, as they want to be, this is what the AI future is about, they want there to be no past, and they will control the ever-present, right? You say this happened yesterday, they'll delete a file. It didn't happen yesterday anymore. So they want to go back and they want to destroy all of these relics. That's why there is this obsession with getting into Armenia, which they're working on right now, Iraq, Iran. That's exactly what I think. Iran is another place where there's so much history. But they have not been successful in destroying the ancient temples, which show you that the Star of David, it was never associated with Judaism. Jews, please wake up. The Kiddush cup, that is the traditional symbol of Judaism. It even says this on Wikipedia, that this did not emerge until
19, what? No, let's listen.
Control the ever-present, right? You say this happened yesterday, they'll delete a file. It didn't happen yesterday anymore. So they want to go back and they want to destroy all of these relics. That's why there is this obsession with getting into Armenia, which they're working on right now, Iraq, Iran. That's exactly what I think. Iran is another place where there's so much history. But they have not been successful in destroying the ancient temples, which show you that the Star of David, it was never associated with Judaism. Jews, please wake up. The Kiddush cup, that is the traditional symbol of Judaism. It even says this on Wikipedia, that this did not emerge until the 17th century, right? 1666 was when that guy who was a mystic declared himself to be the Messiah. And they adopted this symbol because it's actually from Solomon's seal. It's the people that believed that Solomon's ring held power. And I want to show you this because they have done a very good job of destroying a lot of these relics of these Baal temples, but they have not done a complete job. They are making sacrifices to Baal. That is the sacrifice that these pagans are making with constant bloodshed of children. Now, I want to show you this. I don't know if you have pulled this in yet, Skylar. Some of these relics, like in Baalbek, Lebanon. Yeah, here we go. This is still present today, but obviously Israel is trying to take over Lebanon right now. That won't be here for a very long time. And then we have another Baal temple. Here you can see that Star of David, which is also all over Aleister Crowley, not a Jew, all over his books on ritualistic magic. Is the quote-unquote Star of David. You have to know this. The symbolism means everything to them. And I implore the Jewish community, you're so diligent at learning history. It's sitting right there. Start with Sigmund Freud, something recent, if you will, and then just start working backward. That's kind of what I did when I recognized these fringe movements. The Frankist cult, long speculated that Jacob Frank was funded by the Rothschild family. Well, we certainly know Jeffrey Epstein was, according to him. He was funded by the Rothschilds family. So all these rumors about the Rothschilds are probably not rumors. They just have a lot of money and they pay people off. It's how you get these pastors to lie, these all across all religions that will lie and dissuade their people. And again, nobody can give you a reason as to why the Moroccan flag, the flag of Morocco, was a 6-pointed Star of David. Now it's 5 stars, but it was 6 stars when the Alawite dynasty, I hope I'm saying that right, saying that right, the Alawite dynasty, probably not saying it right, began to take over. What have they been doing in Morocco, guys? They have been, Aleister Crowley, why do you think they all traveled to Morocco? Going back to Macron, he loved Andre Gide. They were molesting Muslim kids. That's the reason, and that still goes on today. If you're following the Brigitte story, right, it runs right through to Morocco. Anyways, just wanted to get that off because I feel that this is a very important episode because it's time for everybody to wake up around the world, okay? Turn around, the person next to you, the monotheistic faiths, they have all been infiltrated in one way or another by these Satanists. That's what they are. Cutting back into the Charlie Kirk story, something amazing, and I cannot believe I missed this, okay? So I suddenly thought, let me just try to work through actually every minute and every hour of the last 48 hours leading up to September 10th for both Erica and Charlie. I started with Charlie and just trying to confirm what had been said, public statements that were made from people in his inner circle about his whereabouts, also Erica's whereabouts. And unbelievably, I did not catch this, probably because nobody actually watches or listens to Josh Hammer, but he came out once I released the text message. I said it was on September 8th that he texted and said, I'm abandoning the pro-Israel cause. Well, Josh Hammer came out and clarified that actually Charlie sent that text message on September 9th, the day before he died. Here's what Josh Hammer said in his own words. Take a listen.
Me. Okay.
Candace Owens seized on this totally out of context screenshot.
I'll be back
Kirk
in 15 minutes. I'm setting up the live
was
now.
withholding his $2 million donation. And she used this as an attempt to say, oh, Josh Hammer's lying, that Charlie Kirk remained pro-Israel until his final moments.
Yeah.
But she's also holding aside that 2 hours after this screenshot, if you look at the timestamps, 2 hours after that, I and a few others were in a small Zoom chat, a small Zoom call with Charlie Kirk
right here. I'm going to pick up. There's a live set. I think I just did it. Meet me at that live. It has the Clintons on the thumbnail.